This is episode 61 of Ethics and Culture Cast from the Nicola Center for Ethics and Culture. Welcome to episode 61 of Ethics and Culture Cast from Notre Dame's Nicola Center for Ethics and Culture. I'm Ken Hellenius, the communications specialist at the center. In this episode, we chat with Petra Farrell, the Culture of Life program manager at the center. We chat about how her vocation as a mom drew her into pro-life work, how the Nicola Center and the Notre Dame Right to Life Club work together to build and support a culture of life both on campus and in the wider public square, and how her vision for a pro-life world includes teaching, forming, and modeling love and mercy in service to mothers and children. Let's sit down together for this joyful conversation. Well, Petra Farrell, thank you so much for coming to be on the podcast. I know it's been terrifying you, but
Yes.
But welcome.
Thank you. I have been hiding from you in my cubicle down the hall. Whenever you'd walk by, if I heard the microphone or any of the equipment jiggling, I was like, please, no, not me. But yes, I am now been cornered successfully. So thank you.
Well, I felt it was important in this October, the Respect Life Month. I thought, gosh, we need to get the center's program manager for the Culture of Life programming. Got to get you out so that people can meet you.
Well, usually they hear me before they see me, so this is actually quite appropriate to be on a podcast as opposed to a video or anything else.
There you go. Well, Petra, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? Where did you study? Kind of those sorts of things.
Okay. So I grew up on the Redneck Riviera in Pensacola, Florida. I'm one of 5 kiddos. I went to St. Mary's right across the street, and that is where I would say I re-met my husband. He was attending Notre Dame as also a graduate. And I actually knew him since I was in 8th grade. He's my older brother's good friend. So it took a while till I actually liked him. Obviously, it's worked thus far. Yeah. But
How long have you been married?
A little over 23 years now.
Okay.
Dan and I have 5 kiddos. When he graduated Notre Dame, and then I moved down to Savannah to join him. He was Army ROTC. And after we got married, we moved to Chicago, and where I was working for Deloitte Consulting. And we became pregnant with our first kiddo and made the choice that I felt like I really wanted to stay at home. And I was lucky enough to have that opportunity to be able to do that. I know not a lot of people are able to. And I'm glad that we made the sacrifice. It was actually the best thing that I ever did. And subsequently, 4 kids after that, I was still at home. It's been a journey, and maybe a little... a tidbit for those moms that are staying at home right now and they're in the crazy stage of like the screaming and yelling and the babies everywhere. It's worth it. It's fantastic. It's one of those crazy roller coasters that you are holding on with both hands, and every once in a while you get to lift your hands up and scream and be like, woohoo, this is great. And then you're back to the clawing. But it's wonderful. And then they grow up really fast. But yes, so 5 kiddos.
What did you study at St. Mary's?
St. Mary's, I was a mass comm major. I actually wanted to go into broadcast. And then I went into broadcast and realized it wasn't a team game. And actually the thing that was the spoiler for me after working at several news stations, covering stories that I felt didn't help a situation. And whenever I would propose a story of just the average person doing good, that didn't sell and was constantly being told no, and just felt I didn't want to perpetuate the negativity in this world. So I felt like the Lord was calling me to do something else.
Yeah. Well, you talked about spending time, raising your children. Your children are beautiful, absolutely.
Thank you.
Just went to confirmation last evening of your next to youngest.
Yes, our only girl. She was confirmed. She is now Joan of Arc is her saint name. Nice. I love it. It's beautiful. It's exactly who she is. Very courageous. But yes.
Well, how did you get connected with the Nicola Center?
I blame Rick and Nicole Garnett, who are both dear friends of mine. They're the ones that saw this advertised when the opening was put out there, and had presented it to me several times, both of them emailing me, not knowing they were each doing it at the same time, and I deleted them, both of them. And so they live down the street from us, actually, and our kids have grown up together. And they said, this would be the perfect job for you. You're so pro-life, and you're a sidewalk counselor, and you get this. And I was like, yep. But I had, and again, a lot of mommies might understand where I'm coming from. My kids I finally got the last one in school, and I was going to have free days. I was going to kick up my feet and eat those bonbons that everyone talks about. and they kept sending it to me. I kept deleting it. Well, one night, I used to have a dry erase board in my kitchen that I would put quotes just to inspire me or the kids. And I'm sure it had Lombardi on it because it was football season, and the winning is not a sometimes thing, it's an all the time thing. Winning is a habit, and I don't think that Nicole thought that was good enough, so that got erased, and she's like, we need something a lot more impressive. And so I'm fairly certain she put in, and I'm going to get this wrong and I apologize, it's Pope Benedict XVI. The world offers you comfort, but you're not made for comfort, you're made for greatness. So I had said to Nicole after she called me out and said, why haven't you applied for this job? And and then Dan gets involved. Wait a minute, there's a job opening? You need to take it. Well, we come home, and I turned to him and I said, I'm comfortable. I'm finally comfortable. And I'm looking over his shoulder, and what's on that board? It's Pope Benedict's words. And I thought, okay, Lord, you got me. So I finally looked it up, and I'm like, wow, this actually does look good. So long story short, or long story long, I applied for the job, and I'm really glad that I did. It's a new home and a wonderful challenge. It's been fantastic.
Well, now you're just past your 4th year here at the center. And what has your experience been like?
What a whirlwind. It's been fantastic. So my kids always ask me, as they've been growing up, what do you want to be? What did you want to be when you grew up? And I always respond with a mom. I knew I always wanted to be a mom. And check, I got that. Thank you, Lord. That worked out great. But I didn't realize, I think the Lord had something even more so with motherhood. I get to be the mom in the office. And I think that's where I kind of equate what is it like here and what is my experience is that I get to be the mom to a lot of students that, so for those parents that drop their kids off, don't worry. If they come in my office, they're going to feel a nice hug. They're going to be encouraged. I'm going to try and love them in the way that you would love them, so they're well taken care of. So this has been such a fun challenge. I get to obviously work with the students. I get to do all of the pro-life programming for the center. It is where you find that all of the different experiences in your life start to kind of make sense. Oh, that's why I was a sidewalk counselor for years. It's so I could have the understanding so that when I talk to these Right to Life students, I can explain what the mom needs. What do they need to hear from them? So, it's a calling, and I think I've met all of my colleagues. I think they're all called to do what they're doing, and it's been just a second family. It's been great.
Wow. Well, unpack a bit about your responsibilities as the Culture of Life program manager.
Being the Culture of Life program manager, I run quite a few big events, a lot of secondary events that come up through the year. But I'll go chronologically for me in the calendar year. We're coming up for the March for Life. And in addition to my Culture of Life program manager job, I'm also the Notre Dame Right to Life Club advisor. So, which, by the way, is still the largest club on Notre Dame's campus, well over 1,000 students, and
wow.
and they're extremely active. So I have a chance to work with them, usually on a daily basis in some capacity or another, helping them with their programming and advising them on who might be a good person to bring in to speak on a certain subject. Mm-hmm. Reaching out to the community on different volunteer opportunities. I also work really closely with our March for Life team, and each year they start planning a year in advance to bring, we average usually 800 to 1,000 students, faculty, and staff to the March for Life in D.C. every year. Fantastic. I do think that we are probably one of the largest, if not the largest group that's at least traveling 10 hours each way to get there. And so in addition to the March for Life, I also am in charge of the Evangelium Vitae Medal event, which is a wonderful event that honors pro-life heroes. They are given a Lifetime Achievement Award for the pro-life heroes in the pro-life movement. And that is a fantastic event. I will say, can I put a plug in? That we are going to be honoring Dr. John Bruchalski, MD. He's the founder of Tepeyac and Divine Mercy Care. And I would encourage everyone to please attend. It is a wonderful opportunity, open to the public, April 23rd.
Yep.
I should know this by heart. I've only been planning it for a year. So in addition to EV, I also run our Vita Institute. So our Notre Dame Vita Institute is a formation program. It's a week-long formation program. We bring leaders and emerging leaders to the campus. It's a highlight for a lot of people. And they get to study, they get a foundational learning that's just beyond rich. We bring in experts in fields from law and philosophy, social sces, theology. They spend a week.
The hard sciences, biology.
Yes. They spend a week with these renowned instructors and other leaders in the pro-life movement, and they get to network. Spending a week, and you really get to know people, so that when you need to make that connection, or to better understand, what were you talking about twinning? Can you unpack that a little bit? I'm a sidewalk counselor, or I'm a lobbyist, and I need to know more about what do you need at the Women's Care Center? Boots on the ground. What do moms need from me? What do I need to litigate? Like it's really it's a dynamic group that we bring to campus for a week. That's always in June, and people apply to attend. And we have, I think we usually have an average of 8 countries represented each time. I mean, yes, we do have a lot of U.S. citizens, but we bring everyone in, and it's just an unbelievable week-long learning that people walk away and they're like, oh my gosh, can I come back for a second time? And we're like, no. Yeah. But you can refer your friends. So it's fantastic. After Vita wraps, that's usually at the end of June. And there's a breather of unpacking all of the details, because you know that there's always the administration side of all of these events. And then it brings us right back into fall. That's when our students and new students arrive to campus. You have an opportunity to introduce them to the different clubs. We always have our different speakers that we bring in, webinars that we're running. The planning ramps up then for our March for Life. So we're back full circle to the planning once again. So it's a full calendar year, and that doesn't mention all of the ins and outs that we do on the backside that aren't really fun to talk about, because it's a lot of computer work.
Yeah. And a lot of one-off events and opportunities, because I know things that you've hosted have included, like we did a conversation with the filmmakers and with Abby Johnson as Unplanned came out.
Right. We also did Racism is a Life Issue, Ben Watson, and we had a fantastic panel. If people have not watched that, I highly encourage them to do that. It was a fantastic panel.
So those are all things you do in a normal year. Obviously, coming out of the kind of year of lockdown and stuff, what did we do, since most of your stuff is event driven? What did you do to bring some of this programming in times of lockdown?
We had a great time. I think that we tried to reach our audiences. We knew that there's a lot of people that would be missing these events desperately. And so, for instance, we were not allowed to go on the March for Life, but no one else was allowed to go to the March for Life. So I felt like it was a huge loss for everyone. For that, we really felt it important to create something that we could show our alumni and our faculty and our friends. We're still in this. And so we created March On Notre Dame. It's a short little video, and it will give you a snippet that although we couldn't be there in person, our hearts were there, and we will continue to march locally. And that doesn't mean that we're actually really marching. It means that we're moving forward. And let's see, we also did a whole week-long virtual Vita, we took 5 of our presenters that we typically have for our in-person, and we made videos for them. So we have Jess Keating doing feminism. We have theology is covered by Father John Paul Kimes. Professor Carter Sneed, our director, covered law. We had Father Nicanor Austriaco do our biology. And we had Frank Beckwith doing our philosophy portion. And it's just a short little snippet insight into some of their foundational talks. Really good stuff. I would highly recommend taking a look. See, I mentioned earlier, we did our Racism is Life issue webinar panel. And one of my favorites, we did a virtual Evangelium Vitae event for Vicki. We could not bring everyone back in, and it was extremely disappointing. But I think that we had a great time speaking with her, and we were able to highlight Project Rachel. And it's a great video. I recommend you watching it. It's fantastic. I think it really gives you a better understanding of how Vicki was able to create something that could truly bring in moms and families that were suffering from abortion, but to bring them back to the church. And it's fantastic.
Awesome. So you talked about working with the Right to Life Club, Notre Dame Right to Life. And as you say, it's the largest student club. And this is in the undergraduates.
Correct.
There's also in the law school, there's a group that kind of looks at use Vitae. But what are the Notre Dame Right to Life students like? What's it like working with them, as a group?
Oh, they're delightful. Now, there's a lot of overlap with our Thorn fellows, so I feel like that's really great. Our RTL kids are really magnificent. It's fun as the club advisor. They come in as freshmen and the starry-eyed, I'm away from my family, but I'm a little bit nervous, but I can't let anybody know I'm nervous because I'm confident, but can you point me in the right direction? And then they come in the next week and they're like, did you know that there's a milkshake mass on campus? And I'm like, yes. So you see them start to kind of reach out a little bit. Did you know that you can do this or that? And they start getting involved in their dorm life, and then by the time sophomore year comes around, they're into their majors, and it's great with the RTL kids. Some of the majors, they're quite diverse. It's not, oh, well, they're all Theo majors. No, there's the hard science majors. There's, our PLS majors. It really spans the gamut. So it's very exciting for me to hear when they start getting excited about their majors. And then by junior year, they're starting to lead the pack in the Right to Life Club. They're taking on large commission roles and growing the club. This year, last year they had 300 that were on this. Now, I'm not a techie person, but on this group me or WhatsApp conversation. This year they had over 500 on this conversation. That's pretty incredible. Now, again, I said it's the largest club. There's lots of large clubs, but are they this active? I don't think so. Well, so they had these commissions. They're covering politics, but they're also covering they have a new thing that's they reach out to help women in need, and they've adopted a young mom, and they're going to they're doing a fundraiser. I think that they had started with a goal of raising, I think it was $5,000, and we're only in mid-October and they've almost reached the goal. Wow. This is fantastic. And these are kids that are, they're boots on the ground, and they just said, you know what, this came up. We would really like to do it. What do you think? And I'm like, absolutely, go for it. So how cool is that? They're going to look back as a freshman that's involved in 4 years, and they're going to be writing this kid and this mom letters that they're going to see this kid grow up. Right. And I think that it's one of those that they get to see that it's not just the mom with the baby in utero. They're watching it all the way through, and they're still going to help financially assist this person and see how that they grow. And then they hit senior year, and doggone it, just like my own kids, you start to really, really like expect or count on that conversation, and you're like, yeah, I'm really enjoying these conversations, and then they leave you. It's great, but then they do come back and visit, and some of the places these students go, I have students that are now missionaries that write me and update me on what they're doing. We have one in particular that's at a law firm, and I wouldn't be surprised if she ends up on the Supreme Court one day.
Wow. She's
pretty spectacular. But they just spread the gamut on where they go and what they're doing, and everyone is involved, and they're all contributing in the way that God gave them their talent.
You mentioned commissions. So what different types of work does Right to Life do?
So they do anything from babysitting. I know that seems very mundane, but it's super helpful. They offer free babysitting to graduate students here on campus. And we have the Spiritual Commission. They lead rosaries. They do the Angelus in front of the dome. They go out and we have our pro-life commission that does the sidewalk counseling. So they offer training. Not everybody knows what to say and when. There's public policy. They cover everything. But let me go back really quick. It's interesting. The one thing I absolutely adore with our RTL students, and I would say this because I think my background, I mentioned earlier, I did sidewalk counseling, and I did it for years. And it was one of those things, your mom, I'm a stay-at-homer, and I was the Uber volunteer at our kids' parish and school, but I always felt called to serve in the pro-life movement. And so I was a sidewalk counselor, and that's a tough thing. It's a lot harder than I thought it was going in. And the reason I mention that is there's a lot of different ways that you can be pro-life. And what I love about Notre Dame Right to Life is that their message and their pro-life mission is to be loving and merciful. And it's a beautiful representation of I think what Christ intended is it's a family. And what I always said is I always loved the mom going in, and I loved her coming back out of the clinic. It didn't matter. I was there for her no matter what. And I think that the kids really get that too, is that, yes, we would rather them not go into the clinic, but we're going to love them when they come out, and we're going to help them any way we can. And I think we meet the mom where they are, and they just do it so right here. It's something to behold. They truly embrace what the real reason of why we're pro-life is, that you are made in God's likeness and image. And it's just very simple when you think of it that way.
Wow. I want to chat a little bit about the Evangelium Vitae medal, the Notre Dame Evangelium Vitae medal. And you were talking about, the awesome people that you've gotten to meet and work with as we're presenting as an institution this Lifetime Achievement Award. What is the significance of the medal, both in from your perspective, and why should anybody care? Lots of pro-life institutions and groups give awards. Why is the Notre Dame Evangelium Vitae medal special?
That's a good question. For me, let me speak personally first. Is I think that, and I alluded to it, is that when you're in the pro-life movement, I think a lot of people stay in their area and we hunker down and we work as hard as we can and we try to make a difference every day. But I don't think a lot of people, no one's tooting their own horn, so to speak. I know it sounds silly, but I think this is our opportunity to shine a light on some of the most amazing achievements that an average everyday person can do when they follow what God asked them to do. And here at Notre Dame, I think it's important that Our Lady's University is the one that shines the light on that pro-life accomplishment. I mean, who better than to hold it up and say, this is what I need to happen. I need you to love. I need you to serve. I need you to make that impact. And I think we at the center, with our mission of sharing the richness of the Catholic moral and intellectual tradition here at Notre Dame and as Notre Dame, I think that the Notre Dame Evangelium Vitae medal event, this is Notre Dame. We are pro-life. I can't imagine a better place that should be shining a light on how best to embrace life.
So there's already a lot going on, and you're busy throughout the year, as you've kind of described. But what are your dreams for the Center's Culture of Life program. What could you do with unlimited resources for your particular pillar here at the Center?
I would love the opportunity to put out what we teach at Vita to more people. I think that foundation of truth and understanding, and how I mentioned too, combined with how our Notre Dame Right to Life students approach the pro-life movement in mercy and love, and you combine that knowledge with mercy, I think I would love to create an educational learning program that we could put not only out to the public, but also create something that might be geared towards younger kids. You got to kind of be able to grab the kids when they're really young, and you got to be cool, right? And I don't even know if they say cool anymore. I feel like you and I are the same age, but sometimes I'm not so cool with my kids. But I think that they grasp higher learning better than we give them credit for. They get the concept. They understand the science. My kids have told me over and over again, Mom, the holdback for our generation on abortion isn't the science. We just want to make sure that our concern is the mom. We feel like they don't have a choice. Now, my kids aren't thinking that, but they're thinking that's what their peers are thinking. And so I think these generations coming behind them are really good with empathy. They get it. They're all in it together. We just have to be better at what do we do to educate them so that they feel supported. And so if I could have my way and sky's the limit, yeah, I would create an educational piece that I could put into the grade schools, maybe the parochial schools, start there, and then go all the way through the high schools and give this information out to more people. Now, if I was really dreaming, I would just say we would end abortion right now. But we'll take one step at a time. Open the door. I'll walk through it. Give me a little crack, and I'll squeeze through and get that truth and understanding out there.
Far out. Well, we can hope and we can dream and we can continue to work.
Absolutely. We're just beginning. I feel like, yes, we've been here for 4 years, but every year we've had a new way to reach new people. We've tackled some pretty hard issues. I think that we're adapting and we're moving to spread our truth and our knowledge and our understanding to more and more people. And I think we're going to get there. And it's been a fun journey. I'm looking forward to the next how many years?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Well, thank you for having me and putting up with me. And now I don't have to worry about when I hear you walking down the hall that you're going to put a microphone over the cubicle.
Thank you to Petra Farrell. In the show notes, you will find links to videos we discussed, including March on Notre Dame, the Racism is a Life Issue panel, the Notre Dame Evangelium Vitae Medal virtual presentation, and the virtual Vita Institute series, all on our YouTube channel. Subscribe to Ethics and Culture Cast so that you can always get the latest episodes by visiting ethicscenter.nd.edu/podcast. We would love your feedback. Please review the show on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and email your suggestions to cecpodcast@nd.edu. Our theme music is I Don't Know by Grapes, licensed under the Creative Commons Attribution License. We'll see you next time on Ethics and Culture Cast. Until then, make good decisions.